What up, folks? I'm gonna jump right into this one. I saw a video the other day that really disturbed me. It really did. It was a rapper who was wearing a wedding dress, and his thing was, "I'm married to the game." That's what he said. "I'm married to the game." My question was, man, if you're married to the game, won't you have a tuxedo on? But whatever. And then the other part where, as the video goes on, this brother gets down on a knee, on his knees or whatever, he takes a gun in his mouth. Like, really? And I think the thing that adds insult to injury is that a lot of our music is starting to become, music and images, is starting to become, this is my word, outlandish. I mean, it's just too much. And a lot of our young minds are impressionable, and if a young man sees more of this than he sees more of the positivity that possibly you can bring or a strong man can bring, what do you think the outcome is going to be? Let me suggest, the outcome is going to be a lot of what we already have. Whenever I see the craziness out there, whenever I see another young black man doing some, just wilding, going to gas stations and taking people's stuff, I say a man missed his assignment. That's exactly what I say. So truth is, we got to get better. And my question to you today is, don't you want to know what the best version of you looks like? Don't you want to know what it's like to just get past all of that stuff you're struggling with, the stuff that you tripping about? Don't you want to know what the best version of you looks like? Had an in-studio conversation with my dude, James Fortune. And as he's been through a lot, his scandals, domestic violence, and all these. And he's opened up and he's talking about it. And I asked him that question. Hey, man, you now are at the point where you are doing your best to realize the best version of yourself. Talk to somebody out there that may not be there, but they need to be there. And here's what he said.
So for me, becoming the best version of myself meant going through a season of probably the most difficult season I've ever had to go through, especially dealing with it publicly. But for me, what changed everything, what made me the best version of myself now is accountability. And for men, a lot of times that's hard because accountability can be akin to vulnerability, which is weakness. We don't like to be vulnerable. We don't like to admit we're afraid. We don't like to talk about fear. We don't like to talk about weakness because we're always taught, even as young boys, gender trained, that, having feelings, showing emotion is weakness. We got to be strong. We got to always have it together. And the truth of the matter is we don't always have it together. So we suppress so much stuff. We suppress hurt. We suppress fear. We don't talk about it. We're not vulnerable with each other. And what happens when you suppress that, it becomes toxic. And men end up hooked on all different kinds of things because what we really are, we're hurting, we're angry, we're mad at ourselves because we haven't been able to let go of that. So for me, once I was able to be accountable, look at the man in the mirror, stop looking at other people, blaming everybody else, take responsibility for my own actions, getting the, like Katie said, being intentional on getting the help that I needed. It just helped change my life. We can all take inventory of our own life and say, you know what, there's some areas that I need to tighten up in. But the only way that can happen is I got to be honest with myself. I got to be emotionally honest with myself and say, you know what, I am still dealing with some hurt from years ago. Maybe I am still dealing with what I went through, even as a child, as a young boy, that's affecting my life right now. And when you learn to be accountable, you do the necessary steps that it takes. So for me, it meant going through therapy. And I know for us, we don't like dealing with therapy. I didn't like dealing with it. I dealt with group therapy. I dealt with a whole group of men dealing with some of the similar struggles that I was having with control, a controlling issue. I went through some individual therapy. And when I tell you that was the best thing that's ever happened to me, I'm not taking anything away from spiritual, the necessary for prayer, church, Bible study, all that was so important. But for me, it needed more. I needed more than that. I needed to go down and dig down into my life and see, where did this issue really come from? Where did this need to always be in control come from? Where was this need to feel like I had to control other people by manipulation even at times? So once I did that, y'all, it helped change my life. And I've been telling as many brothers as I can, listen, y'all, we all hurting. We all going through some stuff. I know a lot of time we don't like women to know because we want to think, we the lion, we the king of the jungle, we the man of the house. But at the end of the day, in order to be the real man, you got to go back and fix some stuff in your life. And for me, that's what changed everything. Being accountable, being vulnerable, and then getting the help that I needed to make the changes that I needed in my life to be the best version of myself.
Good stuff, man. So, my brothers, let me say this to you. Saturday is our final ManUP Live, New Hope Church in Decatur. All the information will be on the screen momentarily, but two things I want to share with you. Number one, get in the mirror and tell yourself the truth about who you really are and where you really want to be. Again, if you really want it as bad as you say you do, you'll make a way. Otherwise, you just make a bunch of excuses. So 2 things. Number 1, get around people who are already doing or already at where you said you want to be. That's very important because it's impossible to say that it can't be done if you're around a whole bunch of jokers that's doing it. All right? Make sure that I talked to a brother a couple of days ago, and he said, man, I never can see myself being faithful. It's just what I know. I said, I guarantee you it's because you hang around cats that's not faithful. So if you hang around people that are where you are, then you get a certain amount of motivation. That's number 1. And then number 2, be okay with baby steps, but just take steps every day. Run your race, sir. You ain't the prize at the end has your name on it, not anybody else's. Just be consistent, be deliberate. You're gonna be fine. I'm gonna see you. I want to see you this Saturday at ManUP Live. All the information is on your screen right now. Thanks, James. Appreciate you, boss.
Man, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate what you're doing. It's needed, it's necessary, and I'll be praying for continued success in changing men's lives.
My dude. Hey, man up.